I wear bandanas now. And welcome everybody to the road to Wrestlemania! For those who don't know me, I'm a big wrestling fan, like probably the biggest one that at least I know. And yes, it does annoy the shit out of my friends. But we're coming across that time where we're in the end game now. It's the biggest wrestling event of the year, and I just can't wait. There's so many storylines, and we're on the final stop right before WrestleMania, the final major one, with Elimination Chamber. And honestly, I can't wait to see how it goes. There's so many matches, especially the Chamber match itself, seeing who gets to face WWE Champion Cody Rhodes. I'm filming this before Chamber, and this will probably come out after Chamber, so let's just run through some pre-tapes on who wins it. John Cena is going to beat Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41 and then finally turn heel. This is the greatest ever. Wow, I can't believe I actually predicted it. That's amazing. But now that we're like in the end game, it made me think about Endgame. Avengers, that is. And how many wrestlers were in the MCU? I mean, the most obvious example is Dave Bautista. I mean, John Cena's in DC, but he's still great. The Rock nearly killed DC. But also, a lot of wrestlers were in there. Like, Seth Rollins was supposed to be in Captain America Brave New World, and I'm thinking, man, why isn't every Marvel character a wrestler? So because I'm autistic, I compiled a list. It is a tough challenge for me, but I'm doing it anyway. I am going to recast the entire MCU with WWE superstars. Now, when I say entire MCU, obviously not. Major characters I feel like deserve a cast. Like, if it's a Shatari, I'm not gonna, you know what I mean. But also, I'm gonna do myself a little challenge. I am going to cast, not just based on vibes, I'm going by 3 criteria. I'm going based on looks, obviously, based on the original Marvel casting. I'm going based off personality of the original Marvel casting and the character, but also for as long as the character is in the MCU and how long the superstar is in WWE. So if, like, they're only there for one movie, I'm only picking a person that's in WWE for a short time, and I'm considering longevity. So this is going to be incredibly difficult, so I may cheat a bit, but I'm trying to stick to my morals. So, active people. And also, like the MCU, I'm gonna do this in phases. So, right now, I'm just doing like core Avengers cast, so probably go up to the Avengers. I may go to phase 2, that might be another video. We'll see how it handles in the edit. But now, without further ado, let's kick this thing off, and let's cast Iron Man. And who to better start off with than Tony Stark, played by Robert Downey Jr. firstly. And so, the first draft in the MCU WWE rebrand is CM Punk. And now, I know that I may be cheating with hindsight being 2020. 2008 CM Punk was a very different animal than the Punk we know and love. But he's Iron Man. He's cool, he's got the slicked back hair, he's got the facial hair even. And he's invincible. He's the best in the world, same as Iron Man in the MCU. He is an absolute pillar. And also, Robert Downey Jr. was just a fireball of charisma. And who's more charismatic than that other than CM Punk? I will say the only dichotomy is that Robert Downey Jr. went through some stuff, and CM Punk is straight edge, and I think that's a little cosmically hilarious. But also, come on, CM Punk can carry a movie. I know he can. And yeah, Punk wasn't like there for the full 10 years, but he's back now. So I feel like that kind of makes up for it. Now, the villain of Iron Man 1 was Obadiah Stane. And I know, Jeff Bridges, bearded, bald, looks like Triple H now. But was that Triple H in 2008? No. Instead, I'm gonna go JBL, because he's a dick and a capitalist. Same how Obadiah Stane is a dick and a capitalist. And Pepper Potts. Now, I should have put this at the top. I'm going to apologize in advance for the women's casting in some of these, and also where the character's race is pretty integral, because WWE had some catching up to do in terms of, dare I say, the DEI department, and allowing diversity to actually flourish as it should. So, all I'm saying is, in certain roles, it is very slim pickings in regards to authenticity. And also putting someone who deserves to actually be in that spot. Not that, hey, I can't wrestle, but for a time, women's wrestling was actually very, very bad, and you need some characters to kick ass. So I'm trying my best. But Pepper Potts, I'm gonna go Michelle McCool, because she just reminds me the most of Gwyneth Paltrow. She just does. I can't put a finger on it. I remember her in WWE being like a snob, and Gwyneth Paltrow. Moving on with Colonel James Rhodes, aka Rhodey, and now you might be thinking, well, he was played by Terrence Howard in the first one, and he was recast, so are you gonna do the same Rhodey? No, I'm not. I'm having two Rhodeys. The first one being MVP, because MVP is kind of like Michelle McCool, the most like Terrence Howard in my opinion, especially now. Like, if you watch MVP, he sounds like Terrence Howard. And also, MVP in 2008 was like an underrated gem. He was cool. And finally, Happy Hogan. Now, Jon Favreau isn't the biggest guy. He's a big guy, and I truly believe he could protect Tony Stark outside of the suit. And he's also lovable. So me, I'm gonna go a little unorthodox. I'm gonna pick the Big Show. Should have put him as like maybe some other villain or something, but I just think Big Show as Happy Hogan would actually be very entertaining. And although it is a cameo appearance, he is like a cornerstone of the MCU, and he showed up first in Iron Man. Nick Fury will be played by none other than Booker T. Absolutely. Why not? I know he wasn't like active. Again, I said I was gonna cheat, and so I'm cheating now. This is like my one cheat. That's probably gonna be a lie. But also, yeah, Booker T is Nick Fury. He doesn't have to shave, but him in an eye patch going Chucky Chucky Quack Quack. Yeah, why not? But that's one movie out of the way. Moving on with The Incredible Hulk in 2008. And now you may notice, again, we have another roadie situation, because in The Incredible Hulk, Bruce Banner, played by Edward Norton, really good, left, immediately replaced by Mark Ruffalo, who we have now. And yeah, like I said, I'm gonna try and keep it to as real life as I can. So, who do I get as Bruce Banner, who's a phenomenal actor, had some difficulties to work through, and overall is a charismatic enigma? That's right, my first Bruce Banner is Jeff Hardy. And it kind of works, because Edward Norton was a one and done out the door, and around this time, Jeff Hardy was also out the door, where he was going to face CM Punk at SummerSlam and then leave. So I think it works out. Also, I think Jeff can just give such a layered performance. Now, the Hulk himself, I'm gonna be like, well, yeah, just do a CGI big version of Bruce Banner. But you know what? I'm a make some fun with it. Have it be an actual wrestler. And so you need an absolute monster to play the Hulk. And you might be thinking, oh, Batista, Undertaker, maybe those are big guys. Great Khali. No, of course not the Great Khali. What are you talking about? However, I did check the roster, and I'm not exactly sure if he passed at this point. But he was on the roster on the website. So, Umaga will be my Incredible Hulk, mainly because he absolutely terrified me. Running on down the list, who better than the Hulk's nemesis? The Abomination. And once again, I'm going to do two actors for this. One for Emil Blonsky, played by Tim Roth in the movie. This time played by Mr. Kennedy, because he had all the tools, and then it just kind of got wasted. Similar to Emil with the whole super soldier serum thing. And of course, for the Abomination version of himself, you need a big, bald, strong guy with weirdly intense eyes that you just can't look away from. Gotta be Kane. And rounding out the cast with our other villain, though kind of understood, General Thunderbolt Ross, played by, I don't know, some gruff old guy who just can really command a room, a real threatening presence. I'm talking about Vince No, of course I'm not doing Vince McMahon. Like, if I want to cast Mephisto, or, you know, the devil himself, absolutely, but I'm not doing that. However, I will cast a very close second, and someone who's actually a good person, and in my opinion, could probably play every Marvel villain just because I want to see him in that role, but I'm using him right away. I'm going William Regal. I would love to see him try, like, an American military accent. That would be so funny. But William Regal is the GOAT. And a little Easter egg here, the leader, Samuel Stearns, you know, the guy who got, like, blood into his brain, got his head all big, and is somehow a villain, like, 17 years later. That's gonna be Mick Foley, because I think Mick Foley as, like, a college professor is the funniest thing on the planet. That's 2 down. And now, going back to the tech science bros with Iron Man 2, Now, for sequels, I'm just gonna cast, like, the new people that show up. Obviously, the people I cast are gonna stay, unless I specifically say recasting. But starting off with the new people, you gotta have a new villain for the sequel, and that would be Whiplash, an old specialist, a master of his craft, jaded and angry at the industry that tossed him aside and took all the credit. There was also a very jaded and bitter old man in WWE at the time, also mad at the administration. That would be Bret Hart. And also, if I remember correctly, most of what Whiplash did, like physicality-wise, was whip things. And yeah, Bret Hart can't really move during this moment in time. No disrespect to the guy, but the similarities are there. But also, Bret Hart's just the coolest. Another fantastic debut in Iron Man 2 that's going to shred the landscape for the MCU to come is Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow. And now, I understand this is probably the most important women's casting, like, in terms of the MCU. So there's a lot of pressure on this one. But I'm gonna cheat, and I don't really care. I'm going AJ Lee, baby. Because she is the Black Widow. If I remember correctly, that's the name of her finisher. And AJ Lee is awesome. I know she isn't around the entire time, but give her enough money, she's gonna stay. And also, maybe don't fire her husband. Going back down to the villains, we have Justin Hammer, a charismatic dork that just steals every scene he's in and is very underrated. Yeah, I'm going Zack Ryder for that one, because he got in trouble for making himself popular. Now for the major recast, we have Rhodey number 2, the main Rhodey that we know and love, now played by Don Cheadle in the MCU. For main Rhodey, I'm gonna go Kofi Kingston, because again, it is 2010. WWE has a ways to go in terms of, actual diversity and representation. But Kofi Kingston is absolutely the best option. I mean, he's reliable, he's gonna be there forever, he's serious when he needs to be, he's hilarious when he needs to be, he's great. Kofi Kingston is absolutely the right choice here. And also, CM Punk and Kofi Kingston were best friends. They rode together all the time whenever they needed to travel. And wrapping up Iron Man 2, we got another mainstay. We got Agent Phil Coulson. May he rest in peace. I forgot how important Phil Coulson was to the MCU. I also rewatched the MCU for this video. And yeah, it's Michael Cole. Because you need someone who's an absolute fanboy but can sometimes be like a little annoying and a stick in the mud. Michael Cole's the guy. He's amazing now, but I remember at the time, I hated Michael Cole. But now I appreciate Michael Cole. Michael Cole. Now to Thor. This one is not cheating, but I need you to, go on a journey with me for this process. You see, Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston, Thor and Loki, respectively, were major unknowns when they were cast in this project. And a lot of people were like, why are you wasting such a big role as, the God of Thunder on these nobodies? But hey, because of these roles, they became absolute powerhouses in Hollywood. So I'm thinking, okay, what's a good pair in 2011? They do absolutely nothing during that time, but because of that stint, they eventually become one of the greats. And I could think of a tag team champions at this time. They were young, they were very, very skinny, but oh my god, did they bulk up and become the best thing in wrestling. For Thor, I am going Drew McIntyre, and for the role of Loki, it's a little odd, I'm going Cody Rhodes. Now, if you know Cody Rhodes now, you're like, oh, that's a shoo-in for Captain America, just have him be Captain America. And you're right, but during this time, he was dashing Cody Rhodes. He was a self-centered prick and a trickster. And honestly, if that doesn't scream Loki as a wrestler, I don't know what does. But yeah, also those two just still have chemistry, and I just would love to see them bounce off each other again. Verbally, I've seen them bounce off each other physically several times, actually. That sounded dirty. Whatever, wrestling's gay. For Jane Foster, I'm going Nikki Bella. Delivers when she needs to. Very reliable. Nothing standoutish. But can come back when you need her to. Similar to when Jane Foster came back for Thor 4. And yeah, I feel like Nikki Bella could absolutely pass as a buff, lady Thor. Or just regular Thor. I can't remember if that was her actual title or if I'm being... Thor. You know what I mean. Jane Foster Thor. As for Odin himself, Yeah, this is where I put Triple H in. You need an old bearded guy to just absolutely command a room and then tell everyone that they're doing things wrong. Yeah, that's Triple H. And also, both are absolute badasses. For Heimdall, I'm going to go Titus O'Neil because while he's more of a role player, Heimdall is a highlight of, like, later movies down the line. And Titus O'Neil was actually a favorite of mine. I liked the primetime players. It wasn't something, like, amazing, but it's always good to see him. Just for y'all, look up Titus World Slide. It's the greatest thing on earth. And again, just little fun Easter eggs if I feel like they're funny. The Destroyer will be played by Ezekiel Jackson because I remember him just looking fantastic and absolutely wrecking shop. And then I never saw him again. And now, going back to the second release of 2011, possibly the second biggest casting in the whole MCU, oh my goodness, if Iron Man is thunder, this is lightning. We're going Captain America, the first Avenger. And who else to be Steve Rogers, the golden Boy Scout who looks like he eats steroids for breakfast, but you know he's natural? It's only one option. You may not be able to see him, but you know he's there based on aura alone. Of course, I'm going with John Cena! I'm a dork. I mean, and also, Skinny Cena would be funny to see, like CGI Skinny Cena, like they did with Chris Evans. That's gonna be hilarious. But yeah, it's John Cena. How is that not Captain America? He's got the military crew cut and everything. He was the Marine. From the Marine. And the good part of this is that since it's set in World War II, I don't really have to worry about that many characters coming back, apart from one. So I can have more fun here, mainly with Peggy Carter, played by Beth Phoenix, because Beth Phoenix kicked all sorts of ass, and she came back for little cameo spots in the 2020, similar to how they kind of shoved Captain Carter down our throats. For Captain America's best friend and sidekick, Bucky Barnes, I'm going Daniel Bryan, because Daniel Bryan was not that big a deal. He was a skinny little happy-go-lucky, if sometimes irritated wrestler, but you knew he could kick ass and throw down, and when he comes back for Winter Soldier, that switch is absolutely flipped, including long hair. And then, of course, the villain, the Red Skull, which, honestly, I would just put William Regal again.
Yes, boy!
But I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to go Gold Dust, because he's bald and also has, like, a primary color as a face. Also, Gold Dust is just a good actor. Dustin Rhodes is a good actor. Now we're finally here, the end of Phase 1. What everything has been building towards, the culmination of all these movies into one big team-up event the world has never seen. We're talking about the Avengers, after I basically casted all the other Avengers. Now, even though we already have, like, our mainstays from the other movies finally teaming up, that's the whole gimmick of the movie after all, there are some people that are introduced I feel like are worthy of casting, especially Hawkeye, even though he showed up in Thor. This is really his debut. And for this one, I'm going a little unorthodox. I'm going to go Randy Orton. Now, some of you might be like, I kind of feel like Chris Jericho, Christian Edge, maybe? And you would be right. My only issue is that those guys kind of disappear for a good chunk. I mean, Edge is technically retired at this point. Chris Jericho is kind of waiting to leave a little bit. Christian's, I think, out the door as well. So yeah. But also, like, Randy Orton, I can't think of anything else he would be in other than a villain, and I feel like that's a waste of Randy Orton, you know? And also, Randy Orton, throughout the years, becomes, like, a mentor and kind of, like, low-key the heart and soul and the ace of WWE, the same way Hawkeye slowly becomes, like, the heart and soul of the Avengers team. At least in Age of Ultron, he's treated like the heart and soul of the team. And also, like, he becomes a major mentor figure in the later movies, and I feel like Randy has definitely become a mentor to a lot of other people. So it works. And also, imagine psychopathic Randy Orton with a bow and arrow. That's hilarious. And of course, there was a major recasting with a new Bruce Banner, Mark Ruffalo coming in, and a new Hulk with a low-key, really good design. Not as good as the first one, but still really good. And for this one, yeah, I gotta recast Bruce Banner because I'm trying to keep it in the realm of reality to what the MCU was. And for this, going unorthodox again, I'm gonna go Dean Ambrose. And if you're like, no, because Bruce Banner is a nerd and Dean Ambrose absolutely is not, you're right. But Bruce Banner is also a very, very tragic character. I remember the bullet spit out monologue that he had, and Dean Ambrose, in my opinion, is one of the only people that could pull that off. So yeah, he's a very intense character, but also he becomes a really funny character because for some reason, I guess the Hulk is just a joke now, and in my opinion, Dean Ambrose is the funniest of all the S.H.I.E.L.D. members. Now for the Hulk himself. In my opinion, just do CGI Dean Ambrose or whatever you gotta do, but if you have to cast a wrestler, I understand I made these rules, but I really, really don't want to do this. Brock Lesnar, because he looks like the Hulk. He is the Hulk. The only issue is with the stuff going on with him, I really don't want to include him, so... Brock Lesnar with an asterisk. Parentheses, if you have to cast a wrestler. I understand again. I made the rules. I can easily break them. But for some reason, I'm holding myself to this. And rounding out the movie with, like, some characters I feel like deserve a shout because, again, most have already been casted. I'm gonna go Maria Hill, played by Colby Smulders in the actual movie. I'm gonna give it to Charlotte Flair because I feel like she just gives that I'm in charge vibe that Maria Hill does. Even though it may sometimes be annoying, I still like her anyway. And then finally, I feel like this is the best one. At the end of Avengers, we get a teaser for a villain soon to come. Purple guy with many, many chins. That would be Thanos. Not played by Josh Brolin, but played by someone else. Whoever it played, gonna put it right here. But to tease, just like, yeah, we're gonna do Thanos at some point. And then we never see that actor again. So who better to play that version of Thanos than the guy who likes to tease, and then wait forever to actually do it or not do it at all? I'm, of course, I'm doing Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Come on, Rock, really? I just feel like that works. And, like, yeah, you're a destroyer, but you're never around unless you just want to be. And besides, I feel like there's a cousin of yours that, is equally just as good as a destroyer, but I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, that will do it for Phase 1 of my MCU WWE recasting. I have a lot more to go, obviously, a lot more characters to consider, but overall, I think this was a very fun experience. Hopefully, I get all the way to Endgame before WrestleMania or at WrestleMania. So, in conclusion, I hope Elimination Chamber was good. Again, congratulations to John Cena! And if you like this, let me know what casting choices you agree with, what ones you don't disagree with, basic YouTube stuff, like, comment, share, subscribe even, because I'm going to be trying to do more of these things. I think it's really fun. And I will see you on the road to WrestleMania and the end game of WWE.